Hello, welcome to the Hannah Witton Sex Survey 2020. This is the first, maybe the last. Who knows if we'll do this again? What the hell is happening? Basically, I just thought it would be kind of interesting and silly and fun if I surveyed my audience on their sexual behaviours, habits, relationship status, all of that kind of stuff. And so I did some very official and proper scientific research Instagram polls. And that's where we are today. And I just thought I would share the results and we can have a little chat about it. It's all anonymous. I'm literally only going to be sharing the percentages of what people said. But I mean, it's a pretty good sample size because Instagram stories and polls, especially when you do them, they get a lot of engagement. People love that shit. Like, for instance, on this first one, about 33,000 people responded to that poll. 33,000 is a huge sample. But obviously it's like a sample from my Instagram audience. Oh, we could do that. We could do demographics of my Instagram audience. Let's start there. So my Instagram audience, top locations, we have London, Manchester, Melbourne, Dublin, and Birmingham. This changes all the time. So those are cities, but if we go to countries, we have United Kingdom, United States, Australia, Canada, and Germany. Germany is always my top non-English speaking country. So, hey guys. Age range. See, we're mostly 18 to 24-year-olds, and then 25 to 34-year-olds is the next big group, which is the group that I'm in. I'm 27. And then, should we see the age range separately for men and women? So if we go to women, it's kind of the same, and men, the men are a bit older. That's expected. And then gender split, we have 73% women and 27% men. Okay, so those are the general demographics of people who follow me on Instagram. The things that I don't have the stats for, but I can tell you just from qualitative data rather than quantitative data, i.e. comments, my interactions with you, is that tend to be liberal, left-wing, educated. I don't know. Those are the general things that I have gleaned from you guys. Anyway, before I get into the sex survey results, I just wanted to let you know that I'm currently running a special offer over on my Patreon. My Patreon community is called The Common Room, and there's loads of different cool perks that you can get when you sign up, from early access to videos and podcast episodes, monthly live streams, your name at the end of videos, monthly reading lists, and all of that cool stuff. Also, when you sign up, you get a welcome pack, which includes some The Common Room designed phone and desktop wallpapers, and just like a whole bunch of other stuff, access to our private community Discord server, which is a really cool place to hang out online. And I also have a bunch of goals. So if I hit 450 patrons, I'm going to release some old privated videos of like my first ever YouTube videos for patrons only. And then other like goals that I'm thinking about doing if we hit like 500 patrons is a patron only podcast with me and Dan. And then also like more regular reading lists, specifically like pleasure trove related reading lists, rather than just like a video every 6 weeks. And the special offer that I'm currently running is the Common Room pin. So if you sign up by the 3rd of February, on top of everything else that you get as a patron, you get a pin for a limited time only. So you have to be signed up at the $5 tier or more by the 3rd of February. Anyway, thank you for listening to this. Link in the description if you want to find out more about Patreon. And back to the sex survey. Now let's get to the polls. The way that I came up with these questions is nothing other than my own nosiness and curiosity. I can't remember exactly how many questions I asked. I know it's under 20. And I will also be giving my own answers to these where I care to share. Not all of them. Some things, I get to keep anonymous and private too, So let's just dive right in. Do you sleep fully naked? 25% said yes, and 75% said no. I was surprised by this, but I think it's because I sleep naked and I didn't think that I would be in a minority here. But fair play to all you people who sleep in your underwear or your pajamas and things like that. I find it interesting. I would be interested to know why you prefer either being naked in bed or in your pajamas, underwear in bed. I don't know, because I also don't have periods anymore, so I don't even like need to wear underwear at night if I've got like a pad in or anything like that, so I don't have periods. So obviously that changes the game slightly. Have you ever had a holiday fling? 18% said yes, 82% said no. That's less surprising to me, but the reason why I asked it is because I've always had holiday flings, like ever since I was like 12 years old. That sounds really weird, but like we would go camping in France, and every single summer, every holiday, there was like a boy on the campsite who I fancied. And even if like nothing happened, which most of the time it didn't, especially like between the ages of like 12 and 15. But after that, well, I was just curious to see what other people would put. Have you ever had a one night stand? And I put all sexual activity valid here, so it didn't have to be penis and vagina penetration sex. And this one's a bit more even. So 43% said yes and 57% said no. Interesting that that's like quite even. Have you ever used a sex toy? And 63% said yes and 37% said no. I did think that this would be higher because it's like my audience and I talk about sex a lot and I've talked about sex toys a lot. No shame here, no shame here. If you are in the no category and you want to try a sex toy, I do have a 15% off affiliate link with Love Honey, which I will link in the description if you're curious. But, you know, some people are into sex toys, other people not so much. So this next one I had to do as a quiz instead of as a poll because I wanted more than 2 answers. It means nothing, but I had to pick a correct answer, so I just picked never. And in the screenshot, you can see what I picked. I put weekly because I like to answer the polls myself. I don't know if I masturbate weekly. I think it's more often than that, but it's not daily. And then some weeks it's like not at all, but that's maybe my average. Question was, how often do you masturbate? It doesn't have percentages, but we'll just go through the numbers. So 6,492 people said daily, 15,136 people said weekly, 6,249 people said monthly, and 2,761 people said never. So majority people weekly, and then pretty even between daily and monthly, and then the smallest portion is never. But I just want to say, like, it's all good. Love this poll. Do you watch porn? 65% of people said yes, 35% said no. That's kind of like a similar split to the sex toy thing. Interesting. Don't know if that's correlated. If like the people who said yes to sex toys are also more likely to have said yes to watching porn. Don't know. Don't have the data on that. This is where this is limited. Now this is the interesting one, right? Do you pay for the porn that you watch? Guys. 4% of you said yes. 96% of you do not pay for the porn that you watch. You pay for your Netflix subscription, you pay for your TV license, you pay for, I don't know what else you pay for, Spotify. We pay for things. I guess Pornhub has like a YouTube model, like you're not currently paying for this right now, for this video. But porn is an industry that there is potentially lots of exploitation in, and one way to make sure that you are not fueling that and knowing that the porn that you're consuming is more ethically made and that people are being treated better and being paid well, pay for your porn. I will leave some links in the description to some porn sites that are more in the ethical realm and you can pay for them. If you can afford it, it's a very privileged position to be in, to be able to pay for your porn, and also obviously you do need to be over 18. But still, that 96%, man, that's too high. Let's get that, next sex survey, let's get that down to 80%. And just in terms of numbers, 1,281 people said that they pay for their porn. 28,515 people don't pay for their porn. Whatever, there might be lots of reasons why you don't pay for your porn. Okay, have you ever been in a relationship? 82% said yes and 18% said no. that's really interesting. I think that's kind of what I assumed. But, you know, if you're in that 18%, there is nothing wrong with you. Being in a relationship does not like make you better as a person or anything like that. Lots of people aren't in relationships for all sorts of reasons. And then current relationship status, are you currently single or in a relationship? And yeah, this is quite evenly split. So about 46% single and 54% not single. Cool. Oh, so then we got on to relationship style. So the options that I gave were monogamy and poly/open. So what I really meant by that is just like anything other than monogamy. And 94% are monogamous, and 6% are not monogamous. That is interesting. I actually received a DM from someone after this just being like, oh, this is so sad, like realization of like how much monogamy like permeates our society. And it's really tricky. Like, I don't know whether it is just the fact that most people are monogamous, or most people are monogamous because like when you're growing up, that's the only option that's really given to you. And maybe if like all different kinds of relationship structures and styles were presented to us as valid options from a really young age, then maybe that would be more evenly split. I don't know. It's interesting. Okay, next. Do you have kids? So 5% of you. 5% of you have kids. 95% do not have kids. This is another one that a friend of mine who does have a kid DM'd me about, being like, oh my God, only 5%. But that kind of, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, we saw the age demographic. Actually, no, does that make sense? Because we're like, majority of people 18 to 24. So I can see why the majority of people in that age category don't have kids. But then the next biggest age group was the like 25 to 34-year-olds. So maybe there would be more kids in that group. I don't know. It's interesting. People are having children later and later though. And I think the majority of my viewers and followers on Instagram are probably more likely to be of the demographic that wait longer. I think it's just like, if you live in a city, if you like have a higher education background, then those are some of the factors that mean that you might wait longer to have kids. And okay, are you married? 8% said yes, 92% said no. So again, that might be another reason why not many of you have kids, because not a huge amount of you are married. But obviously you can have kids and not be married. That's absolutely fine. But this is an indicator, one of the factors maybe. This is all making sense to me. I don't know if I would have thought that having kids and being married would be such a low percentage, but I knew it would be like majority don't. But hey, also, obviously I gave the overall demographics for my Instagram account, but my gut feeling, my theory is that most of the people who would engage in stories and engage in taking the poll would be on the younger end. Potentially, there would be like maybe more people from the 18 to 24-year-old group who are engaging in the poll than people in the 25 to 34. That's my theory. I have no data to back it up. Right, we're going straight from marriage to nudes. Have you ever sent nudes? And this is evenly split-ish, with majority saying yes, 56%, and 44% no. I purposefully did not define nudes in this question because I wanted it just to be like, if you feel like you've sent a nude, whatever that means, then hit yes. So that's interesting. I like that. Cool. Well done, everyone, like expressing yourselves. Just make sure that the person on the receiving end of your nudes is asking for them or wants them and isn't going to share them with anybody else. Although that's not your job to make sure that they won't. That's their job to not be a dick. Are you kinky? Ooh, 54% said yes and 46% said no. But again, I didn't define kinky here because I wanted the people answering it to define it themselves and kind of like in a way that you just like maybe self-identify as kinky, whatever that means to you. And there's a broad spectrum of kink. This was an interesting question. I didn't know whether to ask it or not, but I find it interesting. Have you ever been unfaithful? And then again, however you define unfaithful, because obviously different relationships may have different rules about what they count as cheating or not. So 19% said yes, they have been unfaithful, and 81% said no. And I just want to say thank you to the 19% of people who were honest. If you are interested in stuff about like infidelity and cheating, Esther Perel has an amazing TED Talk about it, which is based on a book that she's written that I haven't read yet, but I'm really curious to read. I think it's called The State of Affairs is the name of the book, but I'll link the TED Talk in the description. And it's just a really interesting way of like rethinking what cheating is. I think definitely with age and status of relationship, cheating becomes something different. I remember like as a teenager, I'd always be like, if someone cheated on me, then that would be it. Like I would dump their ass. But I think when you're older and you're in like more long-term relationships, maybe you're married, maybe you have a mortgage together, maybe you have children together, like I think it probably becomes a lot harder to make that like bye forever decision. And Esther Perel talks a lot about how couples work through infidelity in their relationship, whether like some cases it might work, some cases it might not, and like under what circumstances it would, why people cheat in the first place. It's interesting. Oh my God! We have a 50-50! We have a 50-50, which makes a lot of sense actually when you think about it. So I asked, are you usually the dumper or the dumpee? Because I find this really fascinating, because I think generally you are always like one over the other. I don't know, I've always been the dumper most of the time. I've definitely been dumped lots of times, but I think just over the years, more often than not the dumper. And it's 50-50. But this would make a lot of sense because like all of the people who are doing the dumping have to dump someone. So like if we did this survey across the entire world, it would have to be 50-50, right? So anyway, that's really cool. I love that that's 50-50. Have you ever had a threesome or moresome? And 9% said yes, and 91% said no. I don't know if I'm surprised here. Maybe a little bit. Oh, I don't know. I'd be really interested to like, you know, imagine if we did the survey in like 10 years time, and so my audience is like older, and what all of the different answers are. Should it be just like the 10-year census, but like Hannah Witton sex survey every 10 years? Okay, and then this is the final question, and I kind of wanted this to be the last one. I wanted this to be the one that like stuck in people's heads, which is, have you had an STI checkup in the last 6 months? And 21% of you said yes, and 79% of you said no. Now, there might be a good reason, because I also haven't, but I've just been sleeping with the same person for the last 6 months. So that's why. And some of you might not be having sex or sex with the same person, but there's still a very large percentage of people who have not had an STI check in the last 6 months. So unless you have good reason for that, maybe use this as a little reminder to go get yourself tested. Know your status. Okay, we did it. So that was the Hannah Witton Sex Survey 2020. Thank you for participating. Thank you for answering my questions on Instagram. If you want to be involved in the fun stuff we get up to over on Instagram, you can follow me at Hannah Witton. So if we were to do another sex survey, maybe in a year's time or 5 years' time or whenever it is, what other questions do you think I should ask? So leave your questions for future sex surveys in the comments. I'd be really interested to know what you're nosy about, what you want to know. And thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you liked that little sex survey, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!